please welcome from Dallas, Jim Pancero.
Frank, thanks a lot. Good morning, everybody. It's exciting being in sales, and I have a little confession to make that it's rather a humbling experience when you stand up in front of an audience and you find that there's a good percentage of the room that wasn't even born when you started your own business in 1982. But what I found is amazing as this old guy of selling is how dramatic selling has changed just in the last 5 years. And it's not changed for the better. Selling has gotten dramatically tougher, more in the last 5 years than any time I've seen in my selling experiences and researching and writing with salespeople and watching what happens. And the changes are so negative that they're dramatically impacting what a salesperson does to do their job. If you look, one of the first and dramatic changes that has happened is today in business, quality is no longer a competitive advantage. I can't name one industry of the 80 different industries I work in. I don't know any industry today where quality actually gives you a sustainable differentiation that customers are willing to pay for. It's become assumed. You go to Walmart and buy a $10 toaster, you're still expected to last 10 years. Quality has just become an assumption of our life, and that's hurting sales. The second change has been dramatic. Now, it's improved all of our lives, but if you're in sales, this sucks. And it's what the internet has done to you. The internet has dramatically hurt selling. It used to be in the old days that if you as a salesperson called on a company, you didn't have to worry about your competitors unless they were also as aggressive as you calling on those same people, because they just didn't know where they were. But look today, you Google it and you know who everybody is in the marketplace, and you probably also even know their pricing. The third dramatic change I watch happening that's hurting all of us is that buyers today, all of us today, have become a lot more independent. If we go back 10 or 15 years ago, if you wanted to buy something, whether it was for your business or for your personal life, let's say you and your family want to buy a hot tub. 10 to 15 years ago, the first step you would have done was to stop at a hot tub store and just talk to a salesperson and say, so what's this going to cost? What's it going to take? What's going to be involved? What are my options? And then from that, maybe even stop at a couple stores, you would then decide what you wanted, what direction you wanted to go, and what selection you're going to make. Notice how that isn't happening today. So if you and your family want a hot tub, what's the first thing you do? You Google it. You go online to see what's there. And then you go through and you do all of your selections. You make all of your evaluations. You decide what you want. And then only at that point do you go to the salesperson in the store with a printout saying, this is what I want. Now, I've had the opportunity to work in retail sales, selling lawnmowers and small tractors, working in the business-to-business consumable distribution, equipment sales, services in the retail environment. It was amazing in the retail environment. We found that over 50% of the people coming into these retail stores to buy a riding lawnmower in the spring were bringing in a printout. And over half of those printouts, they'd configured the wrong thing for what they needed. What percentage of those configurations do you think they under-configured what they needed? About 99%. So now the salesperson has to say, that's a great lawnmower, but it's going to take you 3 hours to cut your yard, and you said you wanted it 1 hour. And it's going to be twice the cost to get it. Now everybody's upset, thinking they've been baited and switched. The reality of selling and the reality of these processes of changes has made it today that the sales are a lot later into the process than they ever were before. So all these changes are putting dramatic impact on companies to decide what do they do about it. Now what's interesting is if you talk to any outside salesperson or sales manager, they'll agree with these problems. Everybody sees the challenges today. That's not the issue. The problem is they don't know what to do about it. And the old solutions that worked for so many years for the baby boomers just aren't working in today's environment. Companies are looking for answers. They're looking for directions. They're looking for approaches. And the problem is each business tends to be at a different part of this evolution. Each industry is at a different part of the evolution as well. So that even for a keynote, it requires that you have to do research, talk to their people, and understand what's going on so that you can actually offer ideas that will have impact. Whether it's for the sales reps, understanding their awareness, understanding the focus of where the sales managers are putting their efforts, or whether it's understanding the direction of where the leadership is in the organization. As a sales and sales management consultant, I focus and see that there's 3 areas that if you're involved in any selling aspects of your company will dramatically increase your competitive advantage if you work on them. The first and the most significant area with this is what is your philosophy or positioning in the marketplace? The simplest but the toughest question of any salesperson to have asked by a customer is to have a customer ask you and to say, look, you're the third vendor I've talked to this week. Why, based on all the competitive alternatives available to me, do I want to buy from you? In fact, if you want to test this out, even if you're not in sales, next time you're talking to a salesperson, just drop that question in. You'll have to interrupt them as they're just bragging about all their features and benefits of their products or their services of what they're offering. But to interrupt them and say, look, you're the third vendor. Why, based on all these options, do I want to buy from you? And you'll see how ineffective and how unprepared most salespeople are, whether it's in retail or in business. In fact, the average salesperson, if you ask this question, gives the same 4 answers. You ask any sales rep, why do I want to buy from you? The standard answer is because of our high-quality products, our strong level of support, our competitive prices. We're not the cheapest, but we're competitive, and you get me. Want to do lunch? What's wrong with those 4 answers? Besides no more budget for lunch. Well, the reality is that's what everybody's saying. So if you as a customer ask, why based on all the options do I want to buy from you, and I give you the same tired answers of high-quality products, strong level of support, competitive price, and you get me, what will you make your buying decision based on? And it goes to price. And then the price margins gets driven down, and everybody has a hard time staying in business. The reality is we're going through this dramatic change. In fact, this is a whole philosophy of even how you communicate. Now, I know most of you are not in a sales position or are actually focused even on the sales team for your company. But within this philosophy, there are some things you can do even in the letters that you write. Because one of the other problems with salespeople is not that they give the same 4 tired answers, but the sales reps only tend to talk about themselves. You ask a sales rep, why do I want to buy from you? They don't tell what they're going to do for them, for you. They just talk about what they got. High quality products, all that other kind of stuff they go through. So that one of the things you could do to see where your persuasiveness is there's a simple test, because my goal is to look at the selling process as complex as it is and the leadership process as complex as it is. And if we can put it into simple structures and processes that are replicable and retainable, then people change behaviors. One of the simple tests that can apply to you even if you're not in sales is how persuasive are you in your letter writing? Whether it's a proposal or a letter or an email that you send somebody, there's a real simple test. It's called the X's and O's test. Next time you're writing, sorry, it was the indigestion of the donuts. But within this, next time you write a letter, right before you're finished, print it out. And what we want you to do is mark it up. And every time in the letter you talk about yourself, if you say us, we, our, or mention your company's name or any of your products or what you do, you X those words out. Now, anytime you say you or your, or mention the person you're writing to about their name or their company, you circle those words. Now all you have to do is look at the letter, and you can see where the focus is. Where do you think the focus is of the majority of letters, especially sales proposals? It's all X's. Let me tell you how great our company is. Let me tell you what we've done for our customers. Let me tell you about all the things we do and we're very proud of. It's our quality, our service, our products. Look at how me that stuff is. Part of persuasion is we focus on you, the buyer, or the listener, not on us, the speaker or the writer. And this is a major part of persuasion. Because the average salesperson says, look, we've talked enough about me, let's talk about you. Why do you like me? And they still stay focused on themselves. The second major area to help a sales organization is we need today to improve best practices. Selling has demanded an efficiency because we just don't have the time. We don't have the profit margins anymore. Salespeople need to be increasing their volumes just to maintain the same profitability because there's been such pressure of margins because of the internet and the other impacts. Now, we're just not talking about best practices like steps of a sales call. That's the simple stuff. We're talking about steps of process. How do you gain control of your process? This, for salespeople and their managers, is one of the major challenges. If we draw a visual and just draw a horizontal line and put on one end of the line identify and the other end of the line put close and say, okay, for your selling process from the time you identify until you close, what are the steps of your process? Most salespeople can't define that. Most salespeople are like the Halari bird. Ever hear of the Halari bird? It's a 3-foot bird, lives in 4-foot grass, spends his whole life saying, where the hell are we? It was on the Discovery Channel. Most salespeople follow a 3-step process of show up, suck up, and pucker up. The idea is how do we put more structure and more process and most critically, more effective coaching, whether that's working with the frontline sales reps, the managers that lead them, or the executives that direct them. The reality is selling is going through such dramatic changes. If you're not involved in the selling channel, this is boring. If you're in the selling channel, these are the kind of answers and questions that I find people are asking. Because you've got a good sales team. That's not the challenge today. We know your team's good. Now the only question is, are they good enough to get better? Thanks for listening.